Oh, man.
Wow. Wow. Did you just have an aneurysm?
It's Friday. We are live and moderately alive is right. This is Ari, the Data Queen, joined by analyst Holt Matt Muscardi. Hazelnut Rawless took a bus to France. We can only assume he's competing in the javelin tonight.
I think that is right.
Tonight.
I thought that they already compete.
Prime time. Is it night already there?
It is night. Yeah, that's true.
On today's weekly wrap-up, Google is illegal, markets meltdown, brand new paint technology, men do all the complaining, and googly eyes make everything better.
Wow.
That is true.
It's almost like you wrote copy this week for the beginning.
I am always prepared. Thank you for noticing. May I please ask for a raise now?
No, actually, you're fired.
Oh. Well, today's show is brought to you by FreeFellAnalytics.com. Everything you ever wanted to know about who runs public companies, all free.
Did you take broadcasting lessons between last show and this show? You sound...
I'm going to start picking my nose now, so no.
All right. Well, we have no Damien. That means it's just the two of us fools.
Yep, and you're doing Story of the Week this week, right?
Yeah, I'm doing like 90% of the show this week. You've got like one section, and the rest of it is just me.
And you know I'm going to not say much.
And then it's your vote. You get to vote on like all the...
Nice. This is my show.
This is the lamest show ever. Let's get it kicked off.
Please.
All right. I got 5 stories this week.
Oh, wow. Big week.
But they're relatively short stories. I don't want to say a lot about them. Number one story I picked was Google. The monopoly of online searches is illegal, U.S. judge rules. Actually, the knock-on effect of it, they don't know what they're going to do about it yet, but it does seem like the judge said that Google is a monopolist in search, and they're coming up with a remedy, and it could include anything from not being the default search engine for things to... So
people are going to have to go through extra steps to
like,
set
make
it
Google, because everybody's still going to just make Google, to actually separating the company, like breaking the company up, AT&T, Ma Bell style, into 2 different companies, one search and one everything else. Okay. But this is likely to cost, apparently, Apple up to $20 billion.
Oh.
Because Apple it gets paid by Google to be a default search engine. $20 billion.
They get a kickback.
That's how it happens. Yeah, right. Google's kicking back everybody. So being ruled a monopoly, I guess, is not good.
They got too good at what they did.
Well, that's the thing. They're really good at search.
Right, but, it also involves some shady business practices, I'm sure.
Sure. Also,
they're really good.
Are you going to use a different search engine?
I am not anymore, but maybe 15 years ago I would have been on
false.
DuckDuckGo.
You would have found Google. Google has been a verb since the IPO, like Google it.
Yeah, right. That's not true. I used to ask Jeeves.
Oh yeah, no, false. You never asked Jeeves anything.
Yes, I did. In the 6th grade, I would ask Jeeves, what color shirt am I wearing? And thought I was so funny.
And it was wrong and stupid.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you'd Google it, and it would get it right.
And then it would know because it was watching.
It was watching you because they're better. That's story number 1. Story number 2. OpenAI appoints Carnegie Mellon professor to the board of directors.
Oh,
yeah, new director.
This sounds good.
Yeah, he's white guy. Finally.
What does he teach?
Okay, so
maybe ethics.
No.
Oh.
So he will join the safety team. And OpenAI's release about him, adding him to the board, his name is Zico Coulter. Zico's work predominantly focuses on AI safety, alignment, and the robustness of machine learning classifiers. That's what OpenAI said about him. Don't fall asleep while I'm talking.
Almost yawned.
You seem like ready. Here is a list of the new guy's papers. Okay. Now remember, this new guy was added because they shit-canned the 2 women who helped ouster Sam Altman.
Right.
So they're adding him, and they added Brett Taylor, and they added Larry Summers, and they've added some more people. But this is a list of this guy's papers. Rethinking LLM memorization through the lens of adversarial compression. Interesting. Forcing diffuse distributions out of language models. Ooh, I've been worried about diffuse distributions. Massive activations in large language models. How about computing low entropy couplings for large support distributions? Or manifold preserving guided diffusion? Or a simple and effective pruning approach for large language models?
Okay, well, it all sounds relevant.
It's very relevant, except in as much as it's not relevant for safety and alignment, because here is Helen Toner, who was the board member that they blamed, who left.
Yep.
They basically called her a whiny lady. And these are the papers that she wrote that are most cited. The malicious use of artificial intelligence, forecasting, prevention, and mitigation.
That sounds extremely relevant.
Toward trustworthy AI development, mechanisms for supporting verifiable claims. Beyond the AI arms race, America, China, and the dangers of zero-sum thinking. Helen Toner literally wrote papers on AI ethics and how important it is to think about AI and humanity.
Huge red flag that this lady was forced out / resigned /
This guy has written papers about how to make AI more effective, faster, and use computing power better.
Yep. Great.
Now he's on the safety team.
Yep.
Thank God. I feel safer already. So, I don't know if Sam Altman's listening. I assume you are, Sam. But do you see the difference? It's really hard to notice. It's very nuanced. But when I read her papers and I read his papers, one is safety and one is not. Can you guess which? And just as a Sam Altman OpenAI sidebar, Elon Musk is suing OpenAI again.
Again?
Second sue.
For what?
Here's what he's alleging. He's alleging that Altman and his co-conspirators were, quote, preying on Musk's humanitarian concern about the existential dangers posed by artificial intelligence. I don't know that anybody would think of Elon Musk as having humanitarian concerns.
Well, he does, right? That's why he's trying to get to Mars.
Yeah, his platform espouses effectively like it's like a white nationalist platform. That's basically what it is. So I guess it's white humanitarian concerns. Musk claimed that OpenAI's deception has damaged his reputation and without legal intervention, quote, will continue to harm Musk's professional standing and commercial interests, particularly in the AI tech industry.
Yeah, this is what's
harming. I love that. It's Sam Altman's fault
is the problem.
that no one likes Elon Musk anymore. That's what I was thinking actually this morning when I woke up. I was like, God, I hate that Elon Musk because of Sam Altman.
That would be a point for Sam Altman if that were true.
Yeah, it would be. All right, so my third story then is an Elon Musk story, but it's not Elon Musk particularly. It is Elon Musk's Tesla pay package is once again questioned by the judge who tossed it.
What?
This is Judge McCormick in Delaware. So we know the series of events. We covered it here. Musk got paid a lot of money, a tremendous amount of money by a board that was wholly compromised. Judge McCormick threw out the pay package after it was challenged by an investor, Tornetta, and Musk decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put it back up for a shareholder vote and attach the entire judge's decision to the vote. So now no one can say they didn't know, and we'll see if they pass it. It passed again at 77% for, but now it's back in front of the judge because this is the first time in Delaware history that a post-trial vote is trying to be used to reverse an adjudicated decision. As in, she threw it out. It was adjudicated. That pay, no good. And Musk said, oh yeah, put it to a vote. We'll inform them and we'll put it to another vote and then we'll see.
Yeah.
So he's basically trying to override Delaware law with a shareholder vote.
Okay, the vote already happened and now the judge is like, no, it still doesn't. Like, this is still wrong.
What the judge is saying is, can you, by law, override a judge's ruling simply by sending it back to shareholders to vote?
Cool.
Because she's also pointing out that the board is substantially the same. There are a few members missing. Oh my God, you need a coffee. You're a mess.
I hear you.
And like Kimball Musk is on the board. So So
Still
on the board. He got reelected to the board. So actually, it's a big deal because if Delaware allows the vote to stand and Musk gets repaid, anybody who goes to a Delaware court, Chancery Court, loses, can put that thing up to a shareholder vote, and if shareholders don't care, they can just reverse every loss.
Right. This is a big deal.
So it's a big deal.
I'm excited for this.
But it's not yet decided. It's back in front of the judge. My fourth story: TV networks have no value.
Huh?
Did you see?
Ooh, no, I didn't.
Paramount Global writes down the value of cable networks and is cutting 15% of jobs. $6 billion write down.
Wow.
They had $16 billion in goodwill from acquisitions over years, and they wrote down $6 billion of the goodwill entirely from linear TV, just like TV stations.
TV networks, like we're talking like ABC, NBC.
Exactly. Although the ones that Paramount owns, so not those.
Not those.
Okay, CBS, in particular.
Yeah.
But
couldn't think of it. Definitely.
Similarly, Warner Brothers in the same earnings session, which makes me think they must have colluded. They must have called each other and they're like, "We're going to write down this. Are you going to write down yours?" Because what are the chances that they both wrote it down in the same release? Warner Brothers Discovery tanks after massive impairment charge. They wrote down $9 billion out of $34 billion in goodwill.
Wow.
So the goodwill, you know what goodwill is?
Yes. When they acquire something.
Yeah. It's the
at a higher value than the cost.
There you go. Oh, look at you.
I learned something.
I didn't mean that to sound condescending. I actually it was more a question for you, but intended for the audience who might not know it, but you knew it.
Yeah, I know
also.
it. Quiz me.
So, they're writing down the excess value of acquisitions, mostly linear TV. So, yeah, that was big news that if you're a TV station, you have no value anymore.
Is that because the only value is Fox News?
It might be, but
for
also
this type of TV anyway.
Warner Brothers Discovery just lost the race for the NBA. So they're writing down in part because TNT, which they own, this was one of the biggest broadcasters of NBA games, basketball games, and they did not bid. And now lost the rights to it. They said it was too expensive, lost the rights to it. And now they're basically like, oh, shit, now no one wants to advertise on TNT because why would anyone watch TNT?
Right.
And finally, maybe not finally, but finally, I don't know if you noticed, on Monday, the stock market cratered.
I heard something about that, a little bit of rumblings.
It totally cratered. I know you didn't hear anything about Hurricane Debbie.
Yeah. I did not hear about Debbie because I was too busy hearing
hearing about the stock market, which cratered. And the reason why it cratered, how an obscure Japanese yen trade sparked a global market meltdown and why the worst could be yet to come. That's the headline. Now, it does not seem like the worst is yet to come. JP Morgan said about 70% of the yen carry trade has been unwound. But the carry trade is traders were borrowing yen, which were cheaper to borrow and had good interest rates and whatever, and buying other things like the peso and tech stocks. So effectively, they were borrowing one thing to buy another thing. And then when the yen had a tough day, people had to unwind the trade. And when you unwind a trade, you have to sell something, right? So when you sell something, everybody's selling off stuff to cover their trades, and all of a sudden, everyone's now talking about a recession. Really, this is a bunch of traders being jerks, is what it seems to be. So those are your 5 stories. You've got...
Wow, and I get to pick.
And you get to pick the only one. Google's monopoly, OpenAI's new board member, Elon Musk's pay package back in court, TV networks have no value, and the yen carry trade.
Well, I agree.
Which one was the least boring to you?
Let's see. I agree that TV networks have no value, but
this is true. They don't.
I don't.
I would like to buy one actually.
You can have your own TV network.
We're live streaming right now.
This is basically
this is a TV network. So welcome to Free Float TV. I'm going to write it down by $1 billion this afternoon.
I think the Musk story is the judge being like, doesn't matter what the voter said. Nope, you can't undo what I said. It's cool.
So you're going to vote for that one?
Yep, that's what I'm voting for.
All right, you're going to vote for the one that is just back in court and they're considering something. You're not going to vote for the actual meltdown in the market that happened Monday or the actual giant
Monday's news.
antitrust.
JP Morgan doesn't even care anymore because it was Monday.
The antitrust thing. You're not going to, the things that happened. You're
Correct.
Not, okay. You're just going to go for the implications.
I'm surprised.
All right. Okay. Well,
I thought it was over.
Because there's no other votes. That's the winner, which means.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, I can yawn.
Now you can tell me which one of mine is correct.
Which one of yours that I chose? Because I think I chose all of them.
Well, this week on Goodliest of the Week, I got 3 headlines for you.
Yeah. Actually, they are going to hire you for a broadcasting job because nobody wants those anymore.
Qantas
I like Qantas.
cuts former CEO's pay by $9.3 million as it aims to fix reputational damage.
Wow,
This is a clawback.
Yeah.
They're clawing it back $10 million. And I know, like, whatever, $10 million out of a lot of millions of dollars. It's not that much, but I think this is good.
I don't have anything bad to say about that.
No, nothing bad. The Qantas board, they committed to implementing all 23 recommendations from its independent governance review.
Wow.
I don't know how often that happens, but I don't think it happens.
I like people who implement things.
So they're doing the clawback from previous CEO Alan Joyce, his 2023 pay, but they're also cutting the current CEO.
What?
Vanessa.
Yeah.
I would say Hudgens, but I think that's my High School Musical.
They're cutting the Glass Cliff CEO's pay.
Poor Vanessa. Yeah.
Honestly, that is I take it back. This is the worst.
I thought it was funny.
This is the worst because if it was just Alan Joyce who did the thing, and then Vanessa...
Give me a break. Vanessa was also an executive during the time that all of this was happening.
It's his responsibility. Sorry. He's the CEO. It's his responsibility. And his bro in arms on the chair of the board, their responsibility. And then she gets the job of her lifetime. She worked 20 years to get to that job. And
gets
what's
it when it sucks.
the exact first thing she had to do? She apologized for anything the company had ever done. That was the first thing she did. This is another boys make a mess and girls clean it up.
Well, I don't know what you're going to vote for this week then.
I'm out on that.
But here's number 2. Fresh produce deliveries are now a covered medical benefit in Tennessee.
Okay, explain.
Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, they're targeting their Medicare and Medicaid members who have diabetes or who have young children. And I love how they said that. They make it seem like young children is a disease.
They are, though. Yeah.
Which I don't disagree with. But it will reward these people with monthly boxes of fresh fruit and vegetables sent to their doors just for attending preventative health care appointments. Health screenings. That is so smart.
Yeah.
That is so smart. You keep up with your healthcare screenings and you get fresh food that is often, quite expensive.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Everywhere. This is so smart. They should be doing that to all members. It doesn't just have to be Medicare and Medicaid or people with diseases with children.
Yeah. Why can't I get that?
I mean, you have the children disease, so.
I have the child disease. I got 3 diseases at home right now. I love this. That's really good.
I know. So great. And last but not least, I love a good technology breakthrough.
Yeah, is it a battery? Are we going to talk about a battery now?
It is cars. It is a car company. Nissan is using a new paint that keeps cars cool. And we've actually seen this before for buildings. Damien covered it a few months ago. But how much cooler, you ask?
I did ask.
A whole 22 degrees Fahrenheit on the outside of the car and 9 degrees on the inside. That is not nothing.
Wait a minute. Wait. Mm-hmm. Why do I care about the temperature on the outside of the car?
Because it helps with all the other temps. It just freezes all the heat. I mean, if you stand in a parking lot that is not covered in the middle of summer, it's just all the other cars' heat just in the air. That's why.
Is that your engineering answer, or is that just
but because it starts with the outside, right? If you keep the outside cool, it helps keep the inside cooler. So
All
it
right.
starts with the outside.
9 degrees. So on a 110-degree day, it will be 101 degrees in the car.
You can look at it that way, or you can look at it like on an 80-degree day, it could be 71 inside the car. That's pretty good. You don't even need to turn the AC on, which is one of the perks here. Like,
Who turns the AC on an 80-degree day? Just roll the
90
window
to
down.
81. There you go.
Roll the window down, people.
But yeah, so the Earth is getting hotter, and we are coming up with different technologies to mitigate that instead of tackling that head on.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, you just tucked yourself out of that one being the good list.
And the other one with Vanessa.
Yeah, you basically did a good job of making 2 of the 3 not good list, which leaves me the only one left. I'm voting for fresh produce.
Woohoo!
I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I actually want Blue Cross Blue Shield, not of Tennessee, to offer that to everybody.
Yep. They are my insurer.
Stop. If we're going to bring up lawsuits for DEI and say it discriminates against white people, can I sue Blue Cross and say you're discriminating against healthy people by not sending me a box of fruits?
Yeah. Well, they're discriminating against you because you're from Connecticut, not Tennessee. But yes.
Both. I feel discriminated against.
You have the disease of the children. Don't forget.
I fit the profile. Give me the freaking box. All right.
All right. So fresh produce. Story of the week.
All right. Now you get to yawn through more of my stuff. Because when you're talking, you don't yawn. And I didn't yawn. But when I'm talking, you basically fall asleep. You didn't bring your...
I have the disease of the child.
All right, well, I'm going to keep it quick then. Here's the data. 433 million tons of CO2 in 2023. Ew. That's more than all of the UK or all of France.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot. 95% of investors in this company said, that's cool. That's what they said. The headline is Cash is King, Why Glencore Kept Faith with Coal. The asshole here is Gary Nagel and Glencore investors. Gary Nagel is the CEO of Glencore. Glencore, what they've done is they had a plan 2 years ago to stop doing coal. They're a big coal producer. Okay. They were not going to mine coal anymore. They're going to phase it out.
Are they located in the U.S.? It's a U.S. coal?
It's a South African UK company, I believe. Okay. They were going to phase it out. But then they decided, wait, no one likes ESG anymore.
Oh, the classic.
Should we phase this out, really?
This is our chance.
So what Gary Nagel had to say was, quote, the pendulum has swung on ESG over the last 9 to 12 months. Because 9 to 12 months, yawn, is really the time scales we're looking at.
Right.
9 to 12 months. This is what Gary Nagel said, quote, they... meaning investors, still do recognize that cash is king, and that is always the case. So the reason why investors don't want to lose the coal is cash is king.
Money.
It makes money, baby. It makes lots of money. Nagel lashed out at ESG investors. Last year, he said, quote, some ESG person in the basement in office number 27 was deciding... that was responsible for the increase in dissent towards its climate change goals.
If they said 308, you could have thought it was this office.
Yeah, Gary, we're in office 308, not 27. So get that right. And it's not the basement. We're on the 3rd floor of a 3-floor building. So penthouse, the penthouse suite. I just wanted to couple this since Glencore, one of the largest producers of coal in the entire world, has backtracked on their willingness to actually get rid of coal. Here are some other headlines from this week. Babies born in 2024 can expect to lose $500,000 to climate change costs over their lifetime.
Wow.
That was a study done that was released this week. Or how about this one? Atlantic Ocean conveyor likely to collapse before 2050. The Atlantic Ocean conveyor being currents in the Atlantic Ocean that are necessary to keep us at a relatively livable temperature.
What I was thinking? You know how they run the cables on the ocean floor?
Yes, they do that.
I thought, oh my God, is there a conveyor belt I don't know about?
No, there's not.
I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you.
But there are I saw another 15 or 20 headlines about how July was the first month in the last like year that hasn't broken a temperature record.
Oh my God. Okay.
How 45 different species. There's a headline a week about a species that's dying thanks to climate change. The Great Barrier Reef at its worst point in the last 400 years, I think they said.
We get it. But cash, though.
Cash is king, baby.
Cash.
Bring in the cash. But because if I have a mound of cash, do I really need babies or the Atlantic Ocean?
Currents.
I don't need babies or the Atlantic Ocean. Babies
Have we told those people they can't buy stuff with their cash if there are no currents?
I can buy more babies and an Atlantic Ocean. I don't need to worry about it. Cash is king. Here's number 2, data points. This one's kind of a phone in, I'm going to be honest. 61% voting power, 51.7% voting power. Here's the headline. Instagram wants more teens.
Oh, God.
So it went looking for them on YouTube.
Stop.
Excuse me, are there any teens here?
Go away, Instagram.
The asshole here is Business Insider. Here, let me rewrite the headline for you because it's going to sound much more Jeffrey Epstein when I write it this way. Mark Zuckerberg wants more teens, so he went looking for them from Sergey Brin and Larry Page.
Ooh.
That is who controls the companies. That is who makes all the decisions. They don't even have to be there for the decisions to get made by them. They don't have to say to like the guy in Sector 7G, go find me more teens. But what's happened is Zuckerberg calls up Google, says, we want to advertise on your platform. And the reason why is they want more teens.
Your headline rewrite really makes it seem
It makes it
extra
uncomfortable.
Creepy. Yep.
Right? Because when you
I
put
like
a
that.
person's
Gets the point
name
across.
there, that is who controls the companies. Those voting powers are those people's voting powers at the companies. These are fake public companies.
Yep.
So
All right.
I just Epstein that
Good to
headline
know.
for you, you assholes at Business Insider. All right, and third, last, okay?
Thankfully.
Yeah. We've only got like 5 more segments in this show. Here's the data. I did the value of male influence on boards in the U.S., as in how much more valuable is it to be a man in the boardroom in the United States than a woman?
Oh. Ooh, okay.
For a small cap company, a man is worth 1.7 women. Okay?
Boo.
Yeah, baby.
Boo.
A mid-cap company in the United States of America, publicly traded, a man is worth 1.7 times a woman also.
Oh, okay.
1.7. Large cap company, a man's only worth 1.6 times a woman.
Okay, it went down a little.
I'm
Is it gonna
uncomfortable
keep
with that
going
drop.
down?
But don't worry, because a mega cap company, a man is worth 1.8 times a woman. Thank God. And that is a man at a company where women occupy 36% of boardrooms on average. Men on average are worth 1.8 times every woman in terms of influence on those boards.
Well,
those are the stats. My asshole here is men. Men. And here's why. These are headlines from just this week. Bumble and Hinge let creeps see your exact location.
Whoa.
By creeps, I mean Martin Brand. Bumble announced Jennifer Morgan was going to resign from the board, and the board was appointing Martin Brand. If you don't know who Martin Brand is, because he's not Whitney Wolf Herd, who everybody knows is the founder of Bumble. Martin Brand is the guy who is designated a non-voting observer by Blackstone, who owns 63% of Bumble. Whitney Wolf Herd only owns 26% of Bumble. Now Martin's on the board. He will be the most influential person in that boardroom because he represents the firm that owns that boardroom. He's a dual-class dictator who is not a CEO or founder. And that move coincides with earlier this year, Bumble is now allowing men to make the first move, which was the whole, Bumble's whole thing was women make the first move. Right? So now we've got men controlling the company, and as soon as men control the company, Bumble lets creeps see your exact location. That's nice.
I don't like that.
How about this headline? This was from a study. White men who are mistreated at work are more likely to notice and report harassment against coworkers. It said white men who were targets of harassment were 70% more likely than other white men in their workplaces to recognize gender bias. As in, if it didn't happen to me as a white man, I don't think it exists. That's what that headline means. That's what they're finding.
That's a pretty high reporting rate. That's good.
That's absurd.
That's good.
Or how about this? Airline says it's testing a booking tool that lets women select seats away from men. In India, they're doing a trial where women are allowed to book a ticket. They can select a gender, and on subsequent seat selection, female travelers can see pink seats that designate where other women are seated to avoid men. That's how bad being like a woman in India is. You don't even want to sit near a man in a plane.
I think in Mexico City, they have designated, like on their metro system, designated like train carts, I guess.
For women versus men?
Yep.
Just so we're clear, the airline that we're talking about here is American Airlines. It's not an obscure Indian airline. It is American Airlines recognizing that this country, it's so bad for women that they'd prefer not to sit next to a man. Men are so horrible. Or how about the story that broke, Microsoft reportedly had to ban Bill Gates from being alone with interns.
Oh, that's creepy.
Or how about just men being man babies? This is a headline, a brief list of people Elon Musk has challenged to combat and then chickened out of actually fighting. This is who runs corporate America.
Ew.
This is what they're horrible. You're all assholes. You're all horrible. None of these stories have a single woman in it, except the women who are running from the men. That's what's happening. So those are your three assholes. Gary Nagel and Glencore investors, cash is king at Glencore, not climate change. Business Insider, not making the headline, the Epstein headline that it should be. And men.
Okay. Well, this is pretty easy for me.
Is it really?
Yep. Nothing makes me more uncomfortable than Mark Zuckerberg looking for more teens.
Oh, wow.
And he's going to target younger and younger, even though he's not supposed to. So
he is in his chain phase, right? Like he's wearing chains now, and he's got fashion designers.
Out looking for the kids.
He's
we got to protect the kids,
He's
people.
wearing his chains out, and he's looking for the children. Come on,
protect
kiddies.
The kids.
Come on, let's get this done. All right, that means we're done with this.
Yeah, let's go to headliniest. It only took me 17,000 hours to find one.
I know, there were no funny headlines this week.
I think you took the best one I had.
Why don't you go first then?
Fine. American Airlines. Speaking of, American Airlines flight to Madrid diverted after bathroom overflows. Can you imagine being on that plane? Oh, that's icky.
That's horrible.
Oh, God.
And
I'm going to make myself sick.
How long do you have to ignore the problem before it overflows?
Also, who did it?
Yeah, well, that's what everybody on the airline is thinking. They're like, which one of you was it? And they're like, everyone's like extreme biases are coming out. Like, was
all
it
the stereotypes?
Was it the guy with the cheap Chinese food? Was it like, anything you can do to stereotype who might have taken a giant dump?
Yep.
That's all right. Mine was, the Cybertruck is much improved by adding googly eyes.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And there's actually a picture in the article of a Cybertruck
really
with googly eyes on the front.
It is so disarming.
It really, suddenly it goes from being the most recalled, like shittiest giant wiper of a car to, that's cute.
Yeah, and I think we should go tag any Cybertruck we see. I think it should be fair game to add googly eyes.
I would agree with you, except that's vandalism. So who wins headliniest of the week?
You're a white dude. They won't arrest you.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But if I did get arrested, then I would deeply sympathize with other people who were arrested for the first time.
All right.
I'm going to say that I won that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
just
I won
that image.
Let's finish out this show with winners and predictions.
Who won the week? Well, I think Damien won the week, even if he's baking in France right now.
Damien won the week
Yep.
because he's not here,
Because he gets to be in France.
I guess. I say Grenada won the week
Why?
because Grenada, despite having just 2 medals at the Olympics, they have 1 medal per 56,000 residents, which is the
Yeah.
best on earth. And they eked out Dominica and St. Lucia. We are all looking at the medal counts and are like, U.S. has 103 medals.
Yeah.
We're awesome in the U.S.
I was telling Matt that they need to normalize that.
Well, they did. And the medals per capita, Grenada with their 2 medals
Aw,
are the
yay.
number 1 country in the world. So congratulations to Grenada. You definitely won the week. Do you have any predictions?
I don't have any predictions. I predict I will fall asleep immediately following this.
I have a prediction that I know is going to come true.
Okay.
My prediction is that we are not going to have any shows next week because we're off for the week. We're doing a little summer break. Damien's gone. He's in France throwing the javelin for Grenada. And I am going to be doing other things, and Ari is useless. So that means we're going to have no shows next week. So come back for the end of summer, the end of August. We'll be back. But until then, goodbye.